listening to the presentation that was given today, if I were an organization, I would ask myself, is it possible for us to get an example, especially for those new organizations that are attending this seminar today? And so my first question, I would like to go to Frank and ask Frank, could you give us some of the examples of IKI projects that have been funded? Having in mind that we have the different funds, we have the small grants, we have the medium grants, and we have the thematic grants, but it would be nice to just get an example of some of the IKI projects.
Yes, thank you, Sarah, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very good question and a frequently asked question, of course. As IKI is very diverse regarding the funding areas, we have so many different strategies and projects concept implemented through IKI. So it is very difficult to give very accurate examples you may need, or in some cases you request for. So I would always recommend to visit our IKI homepage. On the IKI homepage, you will find an interactive global map. And this is a very proper instrument to zoom in and to look into countries, regions, and find more detailed information and general information of all the projects implemented and the state of the projects. So this is actually one of the most used feature on the IKI homepage, as it is very interactive, clear, and gives a very good idea about the variety of IKI concepts in implementation. Unfortunately, these projects are from the thematic calls. So as the medium grants and small grants is a new concept of IKI, it is difficult to get the information of these projects in preparation at the moment. So sorry for that. So I hope this helps you with getting more project details. And so please visit our website for this information. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Frank, for your clarification. And we are receiving so many questions with regards to the eligibility on the criteria, and we will get to there. And just to start us off, as somebody who wants to apply for some of the grants that we have, I would like to direct this next question to Manya. Yeah, so that people can know. And the question is, what is the time span between submission of application and start of project in case of a favorable response from the BMU? Hello, Manya.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Sarah, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. We are very delighted that you join us today for our online seminar on this call, and I'm happy to answer this question now. Ina already referred to the duration of the first stages of the application procedure, so I would like to mention here again that it takes around 6 to 7 months for the first stage, first selection stage, and after you send your application until you receive our letter, and we invite you to send us a full proposal. And after you receive that letter, then the second stage of application starts. And as it includes the preparation phase, probably visiting the country and organizing your consortium, and most importantly also getting in contact with political partners of your partner countries, receiving the memorandum of understanding from each partner country, etc. This takes up to 1.5 or even 2 years. We are working on having a shorter period of time, a shorter time span for the select for these this second stage of the application process, but still bear in mind that a good preparation phase is not mandatory but is recommended in many cases, means a very good start and a very good project. So this is based on our experience. We are looking forward to your outlines and then to your proposals. Thank you.
Yes, Manya, picking on from what you just talked about the preparation phase, you know, and Ina also mentioned that there are costs that can be covered with relation to the preparation phase. I would like to just ask what kind of costs can be requested for the preparation phase, and for what time period can the preparation phase be requested?
Thank you very much, Sarah. Yes, that's very important to know which expenses you can request basically all project expenses that are necessary for the implementation of the preparation phase, such as personal costs or travel expenses. Please bear in mind that the total costs of the preparatory phase are included in the total costs of the overall project. So this will be part of your overall project costs. And the costs may not exceed the maximum amount stated in the funding information. There was a second part of your question, Sarah?
For which time period can the preparation phase be requested?
It is we recommend a 6 months preparation phase. There may be exceptions, but you need it to prepare the full proposal, and but you are also invited, of course, to hand in the full proposal after 4 months already. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manya. Now coming back to what I mentioned before about eligibility, we will go more in detail and ask Ina to explain a bit more. But to start us off, Ina, I would like to ask about the process of development of the concept note, because this can also help to clarify for people on the eligibility concept. And the first question I have is, how interactive is the process of development of the concept? It would be helpful to get feedback. Is it possible for IKI to provide feedback to different people to amend their proposals as per the requirements?
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. This is a very, very good question, because there's so much effort put in an outline, so many times, so many money. So it would be very helpful to offer here a little bit more guidance also in interactive process. As I mentioned before, like the second stage is a little bit more guidance. In the first stage, so far, there's no feedback requirements, no guidance on how to write it. That's why we're doing this webinar today. But there's a good news. We also elaborating our feedback mechanism. So if you, as I said already, like for us, it's very hard to cite something on a final outline. And if you get a lot of letter of decline, there's also a possibility to get feedback by us. So thank you.
Yes, I have a few questions that come up, Ina, that I would like to point to you. And one of them is because is there a way, or do you choose a number of projects for this thematic call? Do you have a set number that would like to choose for the thematic calls that you can say that it's 10 or 20, so that people can know how many projects you're looking into? And if so, my second question related to this as well is, when you choose the project, does it matter on the geographic areas? Do you prioritize on the geographic areas as well?
Yeah, thank you for these very good 2 questions. Let me be also quick on this. As I mentioned before, like there's a total budget this year of for 240 million euros. So in general, we are looking for only 1 project per funding priority. But there might be an exception, and then for one funding priority, for one of the biodiversity funding priority, there can be choose the second one. But this also depends a little bit on the outlines and the funding volume, because we have in total we have 240 million euros for this call. And secondly, the geographical area. This is also a very interesting question. So far, maybe two things are important here. First, some geographical areas are defined already in the funding priorities. If not, you're totally free to choose. So all ODR countries are eligible. So there is no quota of Africa, Asia, Latin America so far. So again, there's about the nicely fit your idea and the countries you're implementing. If there is, and of course, the funding priority is key here. Thank you.
Sorry to get back to you again, Ina. This is my last question, and then I'll move on to somebody else. And I wanted to just find out how many projects can an organization, or how many proposals can an organization submit?
This is also a good question. How many proposals an organization can submit? If you have good ideas, there's no limitation. Neither if you're the lead organization or you're part of the consortium, so you can hand in as many ideas as you have.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ina. I now come to you, Berit, as part of the unit within the BMU, working as well with Philip Behrens and working on the thematic call. And I would like to ask you, my question would be on the corona pandemic as well. And my question is that as we are aware that corona pandemic brings new challenges to project planning and execution, is the preferred option to take into account as far as possible, or should different people plan under assumption of business as usual?
Thanks. Sorry for the delay. Yes, thank you for the question. Well, the current situation and its short and long-term effects should be definitely taken into account for project planning and also for implementation. At the moment, it looks like that we will have vaccination against corona in the next month, but still, I mean, the question is not so clear to me. I mean, if you mean that, well, because of the pandemic, we couldn't travel, there could be no workshops and or no physical workshops, because we are quite fond of climate neutrality also in the implementation of the projects. I would really like to see that air travel for, you know, attending to workshops could be limited. So I assume that the consequences of the pandemic will, you know, it will go further. I mean, it will not just stop and end when we have this vaccination. And I think that's true for the whole of our society. And yeah, that's why I can only say, please take it into account and plan with the restrictions and risks we had, and plan as good as possible, and without air travel if possible. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Berit. Getting back to my question again, thanks for your answer, and it answers one part of the question. However, I would like to bring in another area of the question as well, and this is with regards to the project proposals that are being handed in. Is it for the organizations to consider also the pandemic and its effects on the environment and include these within their proposals? For example, if you're talking about disease, or we talk about biodiversity, should they also bring in the positives that the project should bring, or to counteract the negative effects of the pandemic?
Definitely. I mean, that's what we are looking for actually with this call.
Yes. So
I
that's
hope that, yeah.
yes, that's a very clear answer from Berit. So have the corona pandemic in mind and bring it into your proposals as well. One more question that I would have, Berit, before I get on to another person is, do organizations who have never led any IKI proposal qualify as lead consortium?
Yes, they do. I mean, what we need, that is all stated in the funding information. We have this turnover criteria where there were some question about it, and I think we're going to clarify it a bit more. But also what we would expect is that the lead implementing organization and consortium partners must have also the technical competence, administrative capacity, and management skills necessary to plan and implement the project. And also content-wise, we expect experience in the field, in this thematic field, but also in the geographic region. And if you fulfill these requirements, you're more than welcome to apply also as a consortium lead.
Yes, thanks very much. And do they have, just one more question, is there a ceiling to the first IKI grant? Do you say that there's a ceiling?
It follows.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
No, it's all
it
right.
follows the procedure of the call.
Okay. Thank you very much, Berit, for your answer. And picking on from what you talked about partners, I would like now to direct my next question to Frank. Yeah. And when Berit was presenting, she also talked about that strong partners are recommended by IKI. What does strong partners mean? Is it entities with strong experience in the field or entities that have worked before with IKI? Could you just explain what this means?
Yes, it's a very good question, and it's very difficult to answer very clearly or straight away, because it always depends on the IKI project concept. Generally, I would highlight there is of course a need for strong political partners, and secondly also in most cases also for technical partners who are experienced on maybe at grassroots level. So, and by the strong partners for the consortium, it is meant that the consortium as such should be very competent to reach the goals set with the project. And that means it depends what is the project about to achieve, what is the plan, and what are strong partners in this regard. And sometimes more the high-level political partners are needed, sometimes more, as I mentioned, technical or field experienced partners are very valuable to the project. So this is my answer. So it's strong, directly depends on the project concept itself. I hope this helps a bit. But you have to decide as an potential implementing partner, what is the setup that makes this project a success. Okay.
Yes. Thank you very much, Frank. As we talk about partners, I mentioned before that we'll get back to the eligibility criteria, and this will come to Ina. However, Ina, have a thought about it, because there are quite a number of questions with regards to eligibility and especially with regards to priorities number 12 and 13. But since we are on partners, I would like to first go to Manya. And as this is also related to regional projects, and I would like to ask if you could explain more or what is meant by a regional project. How big is a region? Is a transboundary project between two countries also considered, or two continents? Could you just explain more on this regional project?
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, it's an important question. And generally, we refer to a region as a continent, like Africa, Latin America, Asia, but it could also be, of course, a part of a continent like West Africa, for instance. It's important to us that there is a benefit and a good exit strategy of our IKI projects. And so that is why we more and more we recommended projects that are in one region, and they can also be in neighboring countries. We saw that projects with partner countries all over the world, like global projects, for certain topics make a lot of sense, but for in many cases, countries of the same region, so of the same continent or sub-region, part of a continent, these countries have a lot in common and have sometimes maybe a similar political agenda and so on. So there is much to gain from working together. Thank you. And I would like to add something to the impact of COVID-19 on our preparation phase organization, because we started off with preparation phases that were mostly recommending country missions in order to get into contact and into the discussion with political partners in the countries. These country missions were very efficient, but now due to the Corona crisis, we switched to mainly video conferences instead of country missions. So that's the way we do it right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Manya. Just getting back one more time on the partners. What is the definition of local partners? Looking at local partners, the other question is, can you consider multinational NGOs with registered office in intervention country as local organizations as well?
Thank you, Sarah. That is also a very important question. And as we are very much looking forward to more than 50% of the funds spent on local actors or national actors, as we call them, it's important to see the definition here. It could also be multinational NGOs, for instance, that are based that are registered in the partner country. You can find this definition also in the IKI thematic selection procedure document here. But I would like to emphasize that we do not include any ministries or any like governmental institutions there. But we do include all sorts of actors in the partner countries, and we also would like you to consider whether you could maybe also develop and develop the skills of local actors in the partner countries in the process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manya. I would now like to get on to Ina and ask Ina to kindly explain again about the eligibility criteria. And as you look at the eligibility criteria, we have a question on if you can expound more on funding priorities 13 and 12.
Yeah, for sure. The eligibility criteria for funding priority 12 and 13, that's an important question. Of course, also in general, there are also these two stages. And the first stage, there are also the same criteria important, and there will also be a scoring. And so we look at the formal criteria, we look at the technical criteria, and also the political agenda, then assessing the outlines. What is key important, we're going to look also what I already said in the contractual basis. There's already a contractual basis, this is the key thing, and then the concept note is going to be assessed, looking especially at private sector mobilization. And then the second stage, again, is more a negotiation process with the aim of reaching a fund agreement. I don't know, Sarah, is this a clear answer, or should I elaborate more on it?
I think maybe I could ask Mark if you can put on the slide showing the eligibility criteria or the funding priorities, so that then people can have a look at the slide. And
so it's more about who can apply for this. This is the question, who can apply for it. Okay, so then, okay, maybe for a little, exactly, that's the right slide. Okay, so there's the question of, okay, so the consortium rule is not mandatory here. Key thing is who can apply. You have to have the possibility to administer the funds through a fiduciary management. That's the key thing. So this means your international governmental organization or a bank, or the KFC is a bank. So this is the key thing, to have the possibility to have a this word is like, it's too difficult for German speaking people, to have the fiduciary management here. This is the key thing. If you're, for example, a non-governmental organization, you can also join with a bank. So this is also possible. You can also jointly apply as a consortium. Is this a good clarification, Sarah, or do you need to elaborate a little bit more on these questions?
No.
Cool.
Thanks so much. In case you have further questions with the eligibility implement criteria, kindly write to us and we would be able to get back to you. My next question, I would like to direct my next questions to Berit or to Frank, and it is with regards to proposal writing. And we have a question with someone who's asking if they would like to submit a proposal that integrates 2 thematic areas. How should they submit according to the thematic field? Would IKI or BMU prefer integrated approaches or standalone proposals per thematic area?
Okay, this is Berit. I just take over. Well, integrated approaches are always good, and we would like to ask you to use an integrated approach. But nevertheless, you have to define one funding priority. Like, you have to decide where you want to submit, under which priority you want to submit your proposal. The integration of topics will be a criteria we also look at when we evaluate the outlines. But in the first stage, we need a clear, direction in under which topic you would like to see your outline.
Thank you very much, Berit. Since you're online, I would like to go to my next question as well and direct it to you. And this is with regards to country calls. As much as we are here discussing on the thematic calls, we also have country calls. And could you please clarify on the relationship between the country calls and the thematic calls? Yeah. For example, we have a question specifically from South Africa, because we have country calls from South Africa as well. And the question is, if South Africa bilateral call that includes biodiversity, then perhaps they should not include South Africa in regional proposals or in the thematic calls. What is your take on this, and what is the differences?
Yeah, good question. I don't know if I have the perfect answer to that. I mean, we have these bilateral calls, and we have the experience now that this is quite like the instrument is very well. The partners appreciate it, so we would like to stick to it. So we will have other bilateral calls. And you're right, there might be some overlap, and I don't really have a final solution for that, because it is indeed risky if there is a country call in South Africa addressing biodiversity, and then we open the thematic call and you're planning to go to South Africa. I mean, normally the funding informations, also for the country calls, are published on the website. And in most cases, we quite clearly indicate in which direction we think also for the country calls. I mean, this is a result of a long discussion with the partner government. So the funding information for the bilateral calls will give you a first indication in which direction it goes. And if you can make it clear that within the thematic call, you have a completely different approach and you're working in a completely different field and with a completely different concept, it is possible, but you would have to address this in the outline. How that there are no that there's no double funding. So we really need to clarify where are the borders, and yeah, I hope that explains a bit. And anyway, like we had quite some country calls. I think like we have 15 priority countries, and we are almost done. South Africa is running at the time, Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia, I think, and Russia will come soon, hopefully. I mean, not this year, but beginning of next year. So please have a look at the website.
Yes. Just for clarification, Berit, what do you mean by political partners or political entities? Should it be government?
Sorry, I didn't get the whole question.
What do you mean when you talk about political partners? What do you mean by political partners? Is the governments of the particular countries?
Yes, that's what I mean. Normally, our partner would be the ministries for environment in our partner countries, but we are also open for other relevant ministries. I mean, in the last month and years, we started also to work with the ministries for energy, and in certain countries, you also have to include planning ministries or like foreign ministries. It really depends on the country, but our natural partner would be the Ministry for Environment and its institutions.
Mm-hmm. So I take it, just for clarification for everyone, that it is preferred that your proposals or the different organizations engage with the country governments on the proposals. Yeah. I have another question that I would like to now direct to Manya, and this is with regards more or less also on the clarification. And I would like to ask what is meant with the consortium members and implementing partners. What is the difference?
Thank you, Sarah. Well, that is very important also to think about who you include into your consortium and who may be a subcontractor, for instance, in the partner country, maybe. We would like you to build a consortium with a minimum of two parties. And of course, you know about the eligibility of, for instance, NGOs or universities, etc. But then in your consortium, there will be one lead partner and then the other consortium members. And the difference between being part of the consortium or being a subcontractor, of course, is that you have more possibilities to influence the thematic priorities and also, of course, funding priorities of the project. So when we would like to we prefer, for instance, also if there are local or national actors involved in the consortium. And so this is very important to think about how many, well, we recommend, Berit earlier said, we recommend about a maximum of 5 consortium partners, but that is not mandatory. It depends on the situation in the country. And of course, the organizations have to be prepared and capable of dealing with such a huge amount of funds. But yeah, we are looking forward to your consortia there. And you also can ask yourself whether it is better to work together with a strong partner as a small NGO and a strong partner, or have several smaller partners together. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. I would like to come back, as we started with Frank. I would now go back to Frank again, as I have a question for you, Frank, and this is with regards to can 2 entities of an organization qualify as a consortium? For example, an organization in Europe and its country office in a target country qualify as a consortium. Maybe this would be better if Manya goes on to answer first. And then my next question then will be almost related, will come to Frank. Manya, could you answer this? Can 2 entities of an organization qualify as a consortium? For example, an organization in Europe and its country office in a target country.
Well, it is an interesting question, and we have been discussing this as well. I would say, I think we should come back to you in written form there, but I would say now that actually if you work in a certain partner country, then it would be recommended that the country office of, and at best it's registered in the country, it would be recommended that the country office is the consortium partner. But as far as I know, it's also possible that you have several entities, of course, of one organization. Thank you.
Yes. And now I come to you, Frank, with my question, and it is with regards to successful IKI projects, whereby they are asking if they can submit project outlines for thematic call that builds on previous successful IKI projects.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. This is an important question, and in general, I answer it with yes, but let me explain. Yes, because if we try to reinvent the wheel with a thematic call every time and try only to have very new concepts, then we are losing our competencies are developed over the time and the experience, which are very extremely helpful for new IKI projects. But each proposal submitted or each project should be comprehensive, should be capable to reach all goals. It should be not a phase 1 or phase 2, and it should not be speculated to have a follow-up IKI call if you have had submitted one or concluded one successfully. It should be a new project that, of course, can be inspired by previous successes, by previous good outcomes of other IKI projects, but it should be a new and concept and project that should be standalone. Let's phrase it that way. I hope you get this point. Otherwise, if we go into a follow-up project funding, then we violate the competing concept of IKI, of course. So yes, you can learn, you can take on experience from previous IKI projects, but it should be really a new comprehensive one. So I hope this answers this question.
Yes. Thank you very much, Frank. Berit, I would like to come to you with my next question, and it's also regarding, we are getting back again to the cooperation with the different governments. Yeah. And within our funding information material, there is a statement that states that successful project implementation requires government of cooperation countries to have an expressed interest in cooperating with the Federal Republic of Germany. I will just go through this statement again. Successful project implementation requires governments of cooperation countries to have an expressed interest in cooperating with the Federal Republic of Germany. And now the question is, if you can comment on what expressed interest constitutes.
Sure, thank you, Sarah. Well, since we are talking about the thematic call and this large scale projects where we normally conduct a preparation phase, I would like to mention or like to explain here that during the preparation phase, we expect the consortium to have workshops or some kind of interaction with the political partners. I mean, normally it's by way of workshops. When you have these workshops, you're going to clarify, you know, what is the intention, the targets, certain regions where you want to experiment. And when you have these workshops, it would be great, that's what we think would be great, that you are you agree with the political partner memorandum of understanding that they are going to support the project. This doesn't have to be a memorandum of understanding. It could just be a simple letter, you know, but it should be signed from a quite high-level person, well, let's say deputy director of some ministry. And then we are sure that our partner governments support this project, and we are not accused, you know, to spy on them. That's sometimes the case. So an expressed interest is written, basically.
Thank you very much. We keep on receiving questions with regards to the funding priorities 13, 12, and 13. And I would just like us to go back to it because it seems like not so many people have got it quite clear on these funding priorities. And I would like just Ina to look once again onto it, as we've gotten a question, if you can give example of organizations that can actually apply for the funding priorities 13 and 12 and 13.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, again, the basic idea behind the funding priority 12 and 13 is to deposit money in an existing fund or setting up a new fund. This is the basic idea. So, and therefore we need, as I told already, this fiduciary management structure. And you asked about specific organizations that can apply. There would be, for example, as you see, the banks. Yeah, I could name some, but for example, from the United Nations, there is is possible the IEP, the European Investment Bank. It's also possible the Inter-American Development Bank. The KFC is something else. I'm getting hungry here. So KFW and KFW. No, sorry. English is getting a little bit stuck here. So yeah, there are, for example, some examples for the banks could apply.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ina. We are all getting hungry. It's not only you. And with that, I'd like to go to my next question. Manya, we are back to you again with the concept of regions. The IKI has their own concepts of what a region constitutes, but I think this needs to be a little bit more clear as we get questions on whether Ghana, Togo, Highlands would be considered a region by IKI.
Thank you very much for your question. Thank you, Sarah. No, it is not too small a region. I mean, if you, this example like Ghana, Togo, Highlands transboundary area, I think it rather depends on the convincing topic and on a convincing logical framework of your proposal, and of a convincing short description on what you are planning to do. We want to grasp your idea of what is the important idea behind it, or the innovative idea behind it. And a region is not too small if it consists of two neighboring countries or areas in two neighboring countries, not at all. I think rather if it is a convincing idea and you're tackling an important problem there, then it's a very good proposal. Thank you.
Thanks, Manya. Since you're now on, I would like to ask you, and you're the one who dealt with the question with regards to the preparation phase. We have a question coming in on when you're supposed to submit the proposal of this project phase. Yeah, and they go on to clarify whether you submit the proposal for preparation phase after being accepted, or do you submit already from the start in your project outline, only for the 6 months preparation phase? When exactly should they submit this proposal?
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Yeah, it's important to clarify this. You submit, and please, Ina, add to my answer if you wish. You submit the outline, and after as it is a two-stage selection procedure, after submission of outlines, we evaluate them, as you can see in the slide now, and then we select promising outlines, and then the applicants receive an invitation for project proposal. And as Ina outlined, or as Ina showed in the presentation as well, there will be a kickoff meeting where you meet people from our ministry and from ZUG to discuss your planned preparation phase. And there will be a protocol. Thank you for this slide. Yes. There will be a protocol of this kickoff meeting, and the protocol is binding. The protocol forms like the official basis for what you are doing then during the preparation phase. So as it is so important to first have this kickoff meeting where you give us a presentation of your ideas and your plans for the preparation phase, and we can clarify any questions before this kickoff meeting with you. After that kickoff meeting, then 5 weeks after receipt of the final version of the protocol of the kickoff meeting, then you have to hand in a proposal for the preparation phase. So basically in this process, you first send us the outline, get an invitation, and write a proposal for the preparation phase if you consider, or if you plan a preparation phase, and then and in the end you write the full proposal. The full proposal is the outcome of this preparation phase, and we have a very good experiences with very nicely and very logically fitting proposals after the preparation phase. So we are looking forward to this process with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Manya. And I would now like to direct my next question to Berit. Yeah. And this is with regards to the contracting. When you have chosen a project and now you're in the stage of contracting, yeah, will BMU offer then a contract with just the lead organization, or will the contract be with the different organizations forming the consortium?
Thanks, Sarah. We have contractual relationships only with the lead of the consortium. He will be our partner, and he is responsible for distributing the money amongst all others.
Thank you. Thank you, very short and precise. I like that answer. And now just speaking on what you have talked about, because then you have different consortium, I would like to direct now the question to Frank to answer the other bit. And how important is the experience of NGO in project implementation when you're doing the selection process?
Yes, thank you, Sarah. So, of course, it is a benefit if we have a proposal or consortium composed of NGOs or with NGOs in the consortium who are experienced in the area that the work is proposed for. So, of course, this minimizes the risk of the project. If we have a consortium only with newcomers in this area, the risk is, of course, a bit is higher. So, experienced NGOs is, of course, of benefit for the selection of a project, but it does not exclude any NGO. And that is also, from my point of view, from a chance of a consortium, because you can include maybe also some NGOs, smaller NGOs who have not yet this experience, but in the composition with others, this could create a very valuable consortium. Okay, that's my answer to the question.
Yes. Thank you, Frank. Since you're on, I would like to, I have another question yet for you. I'm not so sure if you're prepared to answer it and tackle it, but I will give it to you nevertheless, And this is with regards to the thematic window, the number 2. How do you define ambitious climate change mitigation goals in its NDCs and or has mitigation potential countries? The question is, does IKI have a clear preference of particular countries? I'll just, within the thematical window 2, we have, how do you define the ambitious climate change mitigation goals in its NDCs and or has high mitigation potential countries? And the question is if IKI has a clear preference of particular countries in this case.
Sarah, if you allow, I would like to jump in because Frank is our biodiversity expert, so I'm probably the person who should answer this question. Well, it's right. I mean, how it reads at this funding window, we said by BFAK, the ideal cooperation country is one with ambitious climate change mitigation goals in its NDCs and or has high mitigation potential and or is facing a major threat from the impacts of climate change. So yeah, well, ambitious NDCs, we have seen some or quite a number of NDCs being submitted like in the last month, which weren't really ambitious. We don't have a clear, like a clear expectation of which country you should address. This is the ideal, yeah. I mean, we are trying to address countries which are at the forefront of climate change mitigation and adaptation. So. No, actually, we don't have special, like certain countries in mind. Please have a look. I mean, there are different options and you can choose. I mean, what we would like to see, if you explain when you choose a country, why does it fit, but we have no clear expectations in this regard. Thanks.
Thanks, Berit, and thanks for stepping in for Frank. Although I've not let him go so easily, I'll come back to him with another question yet again. We are almost coming to the end of our session, and I have one more question that I would like to direct actually to Manya. And I would like to direct it now to Frank with regards to building on successful IKI projects, as you were able to address it before. And here the question is asking if 2 countries from different regions would be eligible for the thematic call, having in mind that they are building it on from a successful IKI project.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. This is an interesting question, and I'm not sure if I really can answer it completely or rightly. It depends a little bit from which region they are, these 2 countries. If it's from Asia and Africa, then we are talking about a global project. So this depends on the funding priorities, if a global project is possible. But the question, if I really recall it right, it was to set up a regional IKI project composed of 2 countries from different regions, right?
Yes.
Sorry. So if they are not from the same region, it's not possible, I would say. So then I would like to refer to the explanations of Manya before on the regions. So it's maybe I can hand over to Manya to add on, because she already switched on her camera. So I see she's willing to contribute to this question too.
Thank you, Frank. Yes, actually, I would like to add something where we are happy to receive also applications from 2 countries, from 2 different regions, but then it depends. Please go into, as Frank recommended, please go into the details of our call here. But I would like to add something that has drawn our attention to it. We would like to emphasize the importance of the links between your project ideas and the nationally determined contributions, NDCs, but also the national biodiversity strategies and action plans, NBSAPs of the partner countries. So that is something we consider as really important, and please bear it in mind when you write your outlines. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are coming to the end of this session, and I would just like to thank all our presenters and thank all our panelists during this session. I hope we have been able to answer all your questions. As we had mentioned before, all the information shared today can be attained on our website. Kindly feel free to reach out to us through IKI email. It's ikisecretariat@zug.org, and we will be able to get back to you on the questions that you may have. If you plan to apply for the thematic selection procedure or the call, please note that the deadline is on 10th March 2021 at 23:59 hours Central European Time. I would also like to urge you to visit our website regularly for some more information. You can also follow us on our Twitter channel, IKI-BMU, or you write to us as mentioned before. I thank the presenters and the panelists. I thank you for your time and your participation. And more so, I also thank the team that has worked behind this to make this seminar a possibility.